Okay, good afternoon and welcome to another PE session. Today we're going to be looking at some more tennis skills. Now we're going to look at, rather than the basic skills of bouncing, rolling, we're going to look at actually striking a ball towards a target. Now you look over there, most of you will probably go, well, I haven't got one of those. Unfortunately in my garden I don't have the right angles and directions with the sun and everything to be hitting against a wall and for you guys to be able to see the shot properly. So I've just put up a rebounder, but feel free, just use a wall. I would use a wall ordinarily, but obviously for the video purposes I'm going to use the rebounder instead. So in terms of equipment, you can use rolled up socks today, although as you see rolled up socks don't bounce very well. So if we're trying to drop the ball to bounce and then strike it, it's going to be a little bit hard, it's not going to work. So ideally a tennis ball or a sponge ball, something that's going to bounce up that you can hit. But if you haven't got that and all you've got is some socks, I will show you how you can do it without the ball bouncing, because we will look at that as well today. The other things you'll need obviously is either ideally a racket of some sort that we spoke about the other day. If not, a hardback book, or I've got a chopping board here which will help you to do the right action and still be able to hit something in a direction towards a wall. Obviously not quite the same as having a racket, so if you have got one, use that. So we're just going to look today at a shot with a bounce, and then we're going to look at a shot without the ball bouncing. So a shot within a normal game, we'd obviously want to let that bounce, but obviously for a serve, especially when you're younger and you're doing underarm serves, a serve can't bounce. So we're going to look at that shot as well today. So first thing we're going to do, making sure we're far enough away from the wall. So you don't want to be too close, because then the ball's going to come back and hit you. So I'm thinking about 1, 2, 3, 4, about 5 paces away from whatever you're hitting at. Okay. The beauty of this is, if you hit it in the right direction, it will come straight back to you when you've played your shot. You pick the ball up again and you play another one. All right. First thing I want to just show you is how I'd like you to hold the racket. Now, ordinarily, some people hold the racket like this, like we would hold a frying pan, okay? We're not frying eggs, we're trying to play tennis, so we want to try and think about that grip and get that right to start with. So I'll just come up to the camera. If you can see my hand there, I've created a V shape. If I'm holding it like a frying pan, I'm going to have it here look like that. What I want you to do with that is I want you just to turn that so that we can only see the top edge of the racket, and there's a V shape with my hand here going down the handle. Okay, if we can get into that position, that's going to help us with this shot. If you've only got the chopping board or the book, do the same. Don't hold it with the fingers under and that pointing up. Okay, turn it over on its side. Again, go with your thumb over the top, still creating that kind of V shape. So fingers at the back, thumb at the front, and then you can still hit through in the right direction. Okay. So first thing we're going to do is just try and get the way we're swinging the racket correct. So if you notice, all I want you to do first is put the ball on the floor. If you notice there, I'm going to go up with the racket high. Okay, I'm going to bring it down and it's going to come low, and then we're pushing it through to high again. The other thing you'll notice is that very familiar position of those legs slightly bent, shoulder width apart, and we're standing sideways onto where we're going to hit. Okay. So we shouldn't be facing the target, it should be nicely sideways on, okay? So what I want us to do is I want us just to put the racket down on the floor there. Looking at the ball, I want you to bring the racket back up to the top, slowly bring it back down, touch the ball and just push it towards the target there. Okay, so I'll show you that one again. So very slow to start with, because we want to get that action coming through, okay? So racket down, touching the floor. Okay. Bring that racket back up high. Keep eyes on the ball. Bring it back through nice and slow. Touch the ball and just push it through to the target. Okay. If you can practice that 20 or 30 times, just making sure that each time we're coming through in the right direction, you can start to speed it up. So you can go in, after you've had a few goes, bring it backwards, forwards, and push it through a little bit harder. Okay. Now, The next thing we want to think about, once we've got that right, is trying to hit the ball once it's bounced. So the same action, still going to be the same action, but we're not going to be hitting the ball on the floor. So as that ball bounces up, we want to again keep our eyes on the ball. As we've dropped it, we're going to bring the racket back, keeping our eyes, watching where the ball goes. The floor might be uneven, it might move around a little bit, so we've got to keep our eyes on it. And then again, as we come through, push that ball towards the target, noticing that my racket head is pointing, it's facing the target. Okay, what I'm not doing is turning my racket down and pushing. I don't want us to be going like this, okay, with the racket pointing down. I want the racket pointing out in that position there. Okay, so I'll have a little go. Hopefully it won't bounce all over the place. So we're going to drop the ball back and through, and if it goes at the target straight, it will come back to you. So again, eyes on that ball, drop, bounce and hit, and that ball will then come back. Okay, so start off nice and gentle. You don't want to be hitting it too hard. Drop, bounce and hit. I'll just show you with the book. Okay, it's a little bit more tricky because it's a bit smaller. All right, you don't want a massive book because it might be quite hard to manage. But again, this one here, so from there you're going to bend down a little bit more, back, forwards and through, and it's just about getting the action. It's not always going to come out the same. So from there, back, forwards and through, and then with the bounce, again, drop it in there and hit it towards that target. Okay, now if you don't have a tennis ball and all you've got is those socks, okay, and if you don't have a tennis racket and all you've got is that chopping board, well, you might have to do it a little bit different. You can obviously do the first bit with the socks on the floor, but now you're going to need to hit it from in the air. So we're going to practice that serve shot, or what they'd call a volley, with the ball just coming straight out the air. So this time we're going to throw the ball up, we're going to watch it, and again we're going to try and go high, through to the ball, and then round. And if you notice, as I'm hitting the shot, my body's twisting backwards, forwards and through. Okay, so from there, up, hit, and into the target. If I get the racket back, hopefully a few of you will have the tennis rackets. From there, I'm going to look where we're going to hit, up, through and back. You notice I'm not getting such a big back lift because by the time I've come back through, the ball's going to have disappeared. Okay, so look at your target, look at the ball, up, through and to that target. Okay, the final thing I want us to have a little go at is we might need to get a little bit closer. So now we're going to hit the ball onto the target. We can try and do a little bit of a rally. So we're going to start in there, hit it in, trying to make sure if it goes wrong, we go back and try again, trying to make sure we're keeping our eyes on that ball and we're hitting through towards the target. So into there, hit through, hit through, hit through there, hit through again. Okay, and see how many you can do off that wall or off that target you've got without the ball bouncing. Okay, if you want to really challenge yourself, you can get a little bit closer. Now you can do it without it bouncing. So off the wall, how many can you do without that ball bouncing? This time, if you notice, there's not as much as a backswing because we just haven't got time to do that. Okay, see how many of those you can do. So there's lots to be going on with there. Just remember, sideways on, knees slightly bent, racket goes from high through to low and then back round to high again. Okay, have fun playing that. Please send me your videos, let me know how you've got on, and I'll do another video very soon. Bye bye.